Hey there, everyone. Welcome. Lotus with the September vlog newsletter. I think I like this idea of doing the monthly updates and newsletters in video form to go into the link for those of you who are on the email list. So, welcome. We are coming into September and we are in the eclipse season. So we're going to talk a little bit about the eclipses today. We've got the lunar eclipse for the full moon, which is on September 6, 7. And then we've got the new moon on September 21st. And that is a partial solar eclipse. So we're going to talk a little bit more about those and the portal that we have this opportunity to be interacting with and interfacing with, and allowing the cosmos, right, and all of these energies to be a part of our relationships, to be a part of our deepening our unification with all of life and recognizing that it's all consciousness. And when we connect more intimately, we actually are able to receive more of the potency that is wanting to come through to assist humanity. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But what I want to just say first and foremost is if you did not see the August video for the Lion's Gate and some of the structural and foundational information, then I'm going to link that at the end of this video. And you can go back and check it out. There's some good stuff in there that is foundational because none of this is separate. It's all part of one grand flow. The other thing that I want to say is if you haven't joined me over on Patreon yet, I would love to be able to share with you over there if you resonate with what I bring. I just uploaded a 2-part class, and that class is the stages and phases of awakening into ascension. So if you work with me, if you follow me, you know that I like to break things down into phases and stages, into digestible material, right? Not just for the head, not just for the intellect, not just concepts, but digest it so that you can actually apply it to your life, to your journey, so that you can actually reap the rewards more consciously of the growth and expansion that you're going through. Because when we can come in once again to that relational intimacy with all that we're doing and the shifts that we're making, we deepen our embodiment and we increase the level of embodied wisdom that then supports our transformation, deepens our internal purpose, our internal signature frequency, that then transforms into higher levels of service. So these 2 classes, of course, they're longer than I anticipated. I didn't expect it to be 2, but I do love details and I do love nuances, because it's usually these details and nuances that hold the deeper wisdom and really help to facilitate the deeper transformation. So hop on over there. There's 2 classes. They're loaded up. I'll put the links in this one as well. They're going to be up there for the next 2 weeks as just free offerings. Anybody who hops over there can access them. After that, they're going to be moved to either paid, or you have to be a member, a free member. You can be a free member, or a paid member to access them, okay? So the other thing is every other Wednesday, we do the Remembering Your Wholeness classes. And this next week, or this next month, is actually going to be a little different because I'm traveling. I'm going to go see family in Portland, so I'm really looking forward to that. So it's going to be on the 10th and the 24th, and I will put the link for that as well below, how you can access that and join us. That is at 5:30 every other Wednesday, Central Time. Replay is available if you cannot make it live. And the last thing that I want to say is that also over on Patreon for the paid membership, you get the new moon and full moon light language meditation and activation journeys. And that is just for $8.88. You can also purchase them if you are not going to be a member. They are always there to download and purchase as well. So I want to piggyback on that because one of the things that I really am finding like deeply meaningful in my own life is working with the mapping and the flow of the natural cycles and natural rhythms. I've talked about this for years. This isn't anything new, and yet over the last couple years, when I've really honed in on the consistency of these meditations and activations, there is this relationship that forms with the greater expressions of life. And I've noticed that there are those of you who have been consistent as well in joining me for these activations and meditations, are starting to really personalize your rhythm and map out your own transformational journey. You're deepening your own process by both joining this collective, these collective groups that we're doing the meditations, but you're also now beginning to really access how do you expand on this for yourself, and how are you intentionally co-creating with the cycles of our consciousness, with the cycles of the archetypes of the astrology that actually are all mapped within us as well. And when we're doing these mapping systems, right, whether it is working with the seasons, when it's working with the moon cycles, this month we've got the eclipses, when we're working with the equinoxes, these are higher levels of consciousness. They are intelligent forces, and we can even say beings, right? They are here to assist our awakening. They aren't separate from us. And the divine union templates that are dropping in are helping us to really come into greater relational intimacy with life, greater connection, deeper and more expanded and more subtle communication that is really beautiful and graceful. And so while this material plane is going through its own transformation, we have an opportunity and an invitation to heighten our transformation, allow the lower density crumbling that we also can experience, are experiencing individually and collectively. But when we allow these higher consciousnesses to be a part of our being, to communicate and to guide us through their medicine, right? We move so much more gracefully. Our transformations, our transitions, our tower moments, our hangman, upside down, coming into new territories, things breaking apart, can find integration and activation periods. And when we align with the cosmos in this way, we actually are in alignment with the larger forces. So I'm not going to go on about that. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's not just, it's not just something that we're doing for some moments of quiet time, which is great if that's what you're needing. But the opportunity is that we're literally integrating higher intelligence within us, in the intelligence of the whole, with the universe, with divine source. And that uplifts us into our divine humanity when we align with it, when we say yes to it, when we come into an active participation with it. And when we do this as a group, we begin to amplify these shifts and changes on a deeper and more expansive level. And we're just a small, intimate group, and we don't all join at the same time. But the container that we create for the moon meditations support you in joining whenever it's right for you, whenever it's in your natural alignment, whenever your life allows you to come into that space where you can really sink in. So, be lovely if you wanted to join us for this next phase during this eclipse season. So let's talk about these eclipses and this moon cycle for September. This portal is going to be bringing, the relational intimacy between Pisces and Virgo. We're having a second Virgo visitation right now. The last moon cycle was also in Virgo. We have the full moon that's happening on the 7th is going to be in Pisces. So the Pisces energies are going to be marrying or merging or purifying, right? And then unifying in harmony, if we're working with this consciously, with the Virgo energies, with the Virgo qualities. And so what that can look like, get my thing here, is that we're accessing both these beautiful qualities, which I kind of look at as the masculine and feminine, but they're not strictly that. But there's this alchemy between the Pisces compassion and deep waters, right, of spirit, of connection, of soul, soul deepening through dreams, through even fantasy, through this deep vulnerability and deep feminine wisdom. And then we move over into Virgo, and we get to bring in this balance between surrender and control. We get to bring in a discerning wisdom, right? This idealism. The shadow of that idealism can be perfectionism, but then we get to balance this with the feminine, with the waters. And so this portal can be this magical time of really allowing the eclipses to amplify and to up-level us and reboot us onto brand new timelines. And as we know, the moon cycles are the feminine energies in general. So these are times where we take the activation phases that are in between the moons, where we're outwardly active in more of that masculine way, and then we dive back in for deeper levels of integration, of deeper reflection, deeper realignment, reassessing, inner listening. I believe that one of the biggest, and I've done other videos about this, but one of the biggest mistakes or misunderstandings or glossing over or even sort of bypassing unconsciously is the phases of integration. Oftentimes we bypass the phases of integration and the hangman moments, right? And allow that unknown where our paradigms are rapidly and deeply shifting. When we allow the space to let go and sink into our soul presence and the foundation within us, we actually can complete cycles that are attempting to clear more completely. If we don't allow integration, all the work that we do stays on the surface. And this is very literal. We don't digest and assimilate. The digestion is even more important than the eating, so to speak, right? Than the ingestion. Because without the digestion, we are not breaking things down. We are not assimilating the nutrients and everything that we need to purify and to create a stronger system. And so with this, I'm talking about, right, if we look at it physically, that stronger system, so to speak, becomes strong bones, right? Healthy organs, healthy tissues, good blood, strong blood, a balanced nervous system. We understand that on the physical level because we have been living in a physical world. But where we're going now is we are energetic beings, and this is what we're being called to focus more on, to really live from that place. But if we don't allow the deeper digestions and dropping into soul presence, which means that we're going to be in stasis for a while. We're not going to be continuously activated. We're going to have more moments of pause, of breathing, of feeling that our external world, we're losing control of what we've known, so that we can become more soul presenced and soul embodied and more deeply connected to the paradigms of the divine, of God, of the universe, of, divine source. These are the next level stages and phases of actual ascension. And in those two videos, I talk about the initial stages of our awakening. And I just put it under these labels because it's clear and concise, and it's the lens that I work through, but everybody has an opportunity to, put your own spin on it based on your direct experience. But these are general 16 layers, right? 16 different themes and common phases. It's a map of what we go through. And again, it's general. It's going to be a little bit different for each of us because we're each uniquely fabulous. And, some may cross over, some may happen sooner than others. But, 16 is as far as I can say at this point because 16 is where I'm at. But it's broken down and segmented into the awakening phases and stages. And then we go into the ascension phases and stages. Every stage is necessary for a deeper development, and I go into all of that. Where we have the opportunity to go, depending on where you're at in your phase and stage, and it's always helpful to know where you are and to understand that where we are isn't a plateau, ever. Ever. And I'm going to say that like to the best of my ability at this time. Ever. I don't think we've hit any plateaus in our human consciousness and development. So if you understand that there's this whole other part of the journey that you have an option to say yes to, then it supports your momentum. So please go over and check those out, right? And my guess is you're going to find things that are relevant, things that are like, whoa, okay, great, things that may be like, not sure, but you're going to see a vision of where we're going if you're not already into these phases and stages of ascension. So I got a little sidetracked there, and I can't remember why I just jumped into that, but let's just say that, I don't know, let's just put a period there. So check it out. So this marriage between these two consciousnesses, right? And this is where we're going, is recognizing the consciousnesses, the intelligences, the frequencies. Oh, digestion. That's what I was talking about. The digestion, the embodiment, taking the nutrients of these energetics and letting them become you. So the private sessions that I'm doing now are to really assist these processes. This is why I do the light language on a regular basis, and this is why I'm doing the more and more focused private sessions, both in person if you're local and online, is because we can't normally in and of ourselves actually integrate all these frequencies. The light language supports us in doing this. And this is part of our evolution. So I'm going to give you just a little bit, of the couple bullet points on the light language. I posted a blog post last month, and I think I've linked it in the August video that gave through all the guidance that I got on light language, 2016, 2017, I don't really remember. So here are two of the things that are really important during this portal, okay? As we're moving into these higher states of divine union, which is relational intimacy with all of life, including intimate relationships, particularly romantic relationships, but also a deeper relational intimacy with the cosmos, with the energetics of the earth, with the cycles. So particularly during this eclipse, what we want to be focusing on, and if you need assistance, if you don't get it elsewhere, reach out to me. Light language disrupts the held patterns and grooves, right, that are wired through us, through our nervous system, through our tissues, right? The issues are in the tissues. And grooves of deep-rooted beliefs and habits from conditioned programming, ways of functioning. As these outdated patterns are broken down, we feel the symptoms of that energetic dismantling. So these eclipses and this moon is going to help to break these things down. They're going to dismantle if you allow the space and spaciousness to allow that to happen, and allow deeper digestion, awareness, journaling, what's breaking down, what are your fears, right? What is feeling like, oh, what are you trying to keep control of? Where do you want to go to, right? These planting seeds. And then also, light language carries libraries. So when the eclipses, when any of these prominent cosmic actions are taking place, we are receiving into our field libraries of divine and cosmic information to activate and support our spiritual evolution. This affects our DNA, this affects our cells, and it is enabling us to hold more light and more qualities of our divinity, Virgo, ideals, perfected states of the being, higher love expressions, and soul presence. Most of us need some sort of assistance in getting all these energies down through the field and anchored into our physical body so that they can become us, so they can be assimilated, digested, broken down, and fortify our energetic foundation. Beautiful, beautiful. And more of us are speaking light language, which is like such an honor and a privilege of becoming vessels and vehicles of the divine. And it is always an honor and a privilege when I get to share light language with you. When I get to be that vehicle and vessel to be of service to support your evolution in such a beautiful and loving and gentle and deep way. So thank you for everybody who participates and who receives and who is riding these waves of this transformative life that we're living. It's beautiful and amazing. And it's elating, right? To be carried by grace rather than trying to kind of grapple with all of these energetics without right aligned assistance. I don't know whether that was me or whether that was outside. Everything looks normal outside. So our electrical started going, which is another thing that can happen with light language. when the frequencies start to like, get too much. I don't know if you guys have heard me talk about when I first started speaking light language. In the beginning, it was super strong and it was like uncontrollable. It just like would barrel forth through me. And every time the kitchen light fixtures in particular could not hold the frequency, I was blowing out light bulbs like constantly, literally blowing them from the rapid increase in my frequency at that time. It was very funny because they weren't stabilizing yet, right? They weren't completely anchoring in. So anyway, um, so I think I'm going to leave it there. And I would love to see you on Patreon. I would love to have you join us for the moon meditations. You don't have to be live. Replays are always given. Links will be below. And with that, I'm going to sign off. Much love. Check out the information below in case I forgot to add something that might be helpful. All right. Much love and many blessings, everyone. Thanks for listening.